Hey there guys, this is Dr. Evan Osar, founder of Fitness Education Seminars and author of the Corrective Exercise Solutions to Common Hip and Shoulder Dysfunction. Thanks so much for tuning into this video on improving the forward shoulder posture in our clients using horizontal pulling patterns. We know the forward shoulder posture is so common in our clients. What I want to share with you today is what causes the forward shoulder posture and how do we use pulling patterns to help improve that posture so that our exercises become the solution our clients need versus part of the problem. So let's review what causes the forward shoulder posture. We know that the forward shoulder posture sort of looks like this, but specifically what's happening to the scapula to create that shoulder posture? Well, this is the right scapula right here. So I'm going to turn this is it as if you're looking at a client facing the wall. When the client has a forward shoulder position, two things occur to the scapula. First, it generally goes into downward rotation. So with that inferior angle relative to the superior angle, here's a superior angle, inferior angle. The inferior angle goes slightly more medial to the superior angle. So downwardly rotates this direction. The other component of the forward shoulder position is that it anterior tilts. So the shoulder starts to come forward this direction, or the scapula tilts forward this direction. So again, two things. It downwardly rotates, and then it also tilts forward. That's what gives us this posture right here. Now, if this client is taught to squeeze down and back, a lot of times they're not able to get the scapula back to a more optimal position of upward rotation and posterior tilt. So again, the opposite position of this is this position right here. So we want to encourage this posture and then teach our clients how to use this posture during their pulling exercises. So let's take a look at what that looks like during the horizontal pulling pattern. Our three-part corrective exercise strategy that we outline in this article is first, we must release the tight muscles. And oftentimes it's the pectoralis minor that's one of the biggest culprits because the pectoralis minor attaches to the front of the scapula and pulls the scapula forward. So we must get that released so that we can get that width and get that posterior tilting of the scapula. Next, we must activate the inhibited posterior tilters and upward rotators of the scapula, primarily the low trap and upper trap and the serratus anterior. That force couple puts the scapula into a more optimal position and allows us to encourage optimal scapular mechanics. Third part, which we're going to look at now, is a cable horizontal pulling pattern. That allows us to now encourage the optimal mechanics we set up in steps 1 and 2. So let's take a look at the cable horizontal pulling pattern. So we want to set the client up and teach them and encourage them to have a nice long spine. So tall towards the ceiling, rib cage and sternum stay soft in the front. We do not want to encourage them into hyperextension as that will not allow the scapula to sit in the optimal position. So rib cage and thorax stay soft, they stay long through the spine. When they pull their arm back, we want them to stay open through the front of the shoulder and not to pull so far back because a lot of times that'll pull them into anterior tilt. So we want to make sure that they stay open through the front of the shoulder and we want the scapula to wrap down and around the posterior aspect of the thorax. When they go through the eccentric phase, we do not want them to just let go and lose that scapular position. We want them to maintain connection, eccentrically control, so the scapula stays relatively in upward rotation and posterior tilt, and then pull again into that posterior tilt and upward rotated position. So again, our cable pattern then becomes a way for us to encourage optimal scapular mechanics and optimal scapular control. So that way we're improving stability, range of motion, and function during the cable pulling pattern. So again, we want the scapula to be slightly posterior tilted, slightly upward rotated, and maintain that position as the scapula goes through the eccentric phase and the concentric phase of the horizontal pulling pattern. That's how we encourage range of motion, stability, control, and then ultimately function. I hope this video helped you. This is Dr. Evan Osar with the corrective exercise strategies to improving the forward shoulder position. Have a great day.